What's up, passionate Pokemon players? I'm Ryan, and we're here for another episode of the Hox Pokemon Nest. We're getting into our second deck of the Mega Evolutions era. In this one, I don't know. I want to call it more than a rogue deck. You got to see it in action. This is going to be the profile overview for the Mega Kangaskhan deck. And make sure you stay tuned for next time to see it in action, because I don't know, this deck has been doing really good for me on TCG Live. So this video, we're going to go through each card in the deck, why I included the strategy, strengths, and weaknesses on how to play the deck. And then finally, we'll get into some other cards to consider getting in there. And you be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Can this deck be more than rogue? Alright, and the deck list is up on the left-hand side as usual, and also as usual, the deck list is in the description, so you can just straight up import it. This one is kind of a condensed list up over here. Now, also, bear with me, I'm getting over COVID, so might be a little bit slower, might have to do a little more cuts here, but I think I'm good to go. Alright, so Mega Kangaskhan EX, this is a basic Pokemon with 300 HP. Wow. Crazy, right? However, there's obviously the downside of it being a Mega Pokemon, and when it gets knocked out, we are going to lose 3 prize cards. However, I think this deck still really works for a few reasons, right? He does have 300 HP, hard to knock out, and we're going to find ways of getting him even more HP, because as a basic Pokemon, we can do that, okay? Now, Run Errand is a pretty solid move for an ability. Once in your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, use this ability to draw 2 cards. Can't use more than 1 Run Errand each turn. So basically, even if you swapped for another Mega, you're not going to be able to use the ability twice, right? Then we have Rapid Fire Combo, which costs 3 energy, and it does 200 damage. Plus, right, flip a coin to get tails, it does 50 more damage for each heads. So it is kind of similar to the other Kangaskhan, which I did also make a deck on back in the day, which is the 151 Kangaskhan, which that one pretty much just does, I don't remember exactly what, but I remember it could do 0 damage or something if I remember right. So the fact that this one is just a base 200 is actually not bad. That means you're going to knock almost anything out in 2 turns. So kind of keep that in mind, and we're doing 50 more damage for each head, so a lot of times we're able to get things, let's say we hit on 2, we could deal 300, and that's going to knock out a lot of things. If you get 3 heads in a row, 350 is going to knock out most everything except other Megas, and then we've got some other ways of dealing damage too. So this actually has been working pretty well for me. So let's talk about what else we've got. So I like the Dunsparce as the draw engine in the deck, knowing that our Kangaskhan is going to get us 2. So if I can use this runaway draw 3, and then afterwards I like to use Run Air and see if I can pull myself back the Dunsparce and put on bench. If not, whatever. So we're, in essence, if we could get this off every turn, we're able to draw up to 5 cards in a turn. It really helps us cycle through this deck and just find what we need, because there's a lot that we need, but we can kind of get going pretty well here, right? And then let's see where that one's at. No, we passed him. Now this one is my favorite one, Bouffalant. With its curly wall. Just think about what we're doing now. So as long as you have at least one other Bouffalant in play, all of your basic colorless Pokemon take 60 less damage from attacks. So now that means that our Kangaskhan EX, which already has 300 HP, is going to be taking 60 less damage. So we're hoping that that's enough to get him down to maybe if 2 hits don't go, then we're able to get down. Now I'm going to do things a little bit differently and show how we're even taking less damage, right? Hero's Cape. I'm just pausing for a minute because just think about that. Hero's Cape gets our Mega Kangaskhan from 300 to 400 HP, taking 60 less damage. It might take a few turns to knock that big boy out. And then also, obviously that's a 1 of, so let's talk about Bravery Charm, because now we can use Bravery Charms Oh, and yeah, as I thought, my COVID is getting me. The basic Pokemon this card is attached to gets 50 more HP. So at the very least, we're able to get plus 50 HP. So I'm running 2 of those in here because we don't really need more than 2 of the Bravery Charms because we also have the Hero's Cape, right? So we're able to boost these Kangaskhan's up. They're taking less damage. And then here is my last little ace in the hole here is the Spiky Energy. Because this Pokemon basically takes any type of energy, if we can attach a Spiky Energy, every time he gets hit, there's 2 damage counters on the opposing Pokemon. So this actually helps me a lot. You know, I've hit some like 270 HP Pokemon, and now when I hit on 1 heads, I knock it out. You know, things like that. Things like that. All right, let's start from the beginning. Yeah, I'm pretty coffee as well. Coffee! Okay, anyway, Nest Ball. Okay, we're going to need 4 Nest Balls in here. Did I put 4? Let me make sure. Yeah, I put 4 Nest Balls, I think. I don't even know. Where are my Nest Balls? Yeah, okay. Yeah, obviously we want the Nest Balls in there for pretty much anything here. I mean, the Bouffalant is over 60 or 70. The Dunsparce is fine, but obviously we want to be able to pull our Kangaskhan's, our Bouffalants, so the Nest Balls are the way to go. Tried and true 3 Ultra Balls. Arven, one of our MVPs of the deck, we're obviously going to run that guy at 4 so that we can pull out the tools and any items that we need. Boss's Orders at 3 as well. And then this card is really, really key. This is a card that you want to see early. In an ideal world, you're going to be going second, and you're going to hopefully be drawing into that Crispin and getting yourself... searching your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards of different types, reveal them, 1 in hand, 1 to your Pokemon. So this basically helps you charge up your Kangaskhan in 2 turns rather than 3 because it needs the 2 energy. Remember, when I made my original Kangaskhan deck, he also needed 3 energy, and I kind of got around that with our double turbo energy. That doesn't exist anymore, at least in this format. So Crispin really helps us kind of cheat those energies in there, which is why I'm not going just pure special energy. In fact, oh yeah, we did get it. So I went with these. Honestly, I went with 4 of each. I think I chose like the first 2. You could choose whatever color you want, you know, choose your 2 favorite colors. I probably should have went grass and water because those are my 2 favorite colors, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. I don't have any Pokemon that need any type of energy, but just make sure you're going with 2 of each. I also went with 4 because I was finding myself sometimes not able to do it. Now remember, with Crispin, you have to pull 2 in order to attach one, because the first thing you do is put 1 in your hand and the second one goes onto your Pokemon. So if you're only pulling 1, it's not going to go well for you. So that's important. And then I went with Hilda. Hilda is another really good card in this deck because it's going to help you pull out your Spiky energies. So once you've already got your Crispin and you've got 2 on your Kangaskhan, you're going to hopefully go with the Hilda, which is going to let you pull an evolution Pokemon, the Dunsparce, and then you're going to be able to get that Spiky energy and attach. So really good. There's a lot going on here. Okay, Iono. I like Iono at 3 just to kind of reset that hand. And also, you know what? The later the game, the less hand size you want your opponents to go down to. One interesting thing is a lot of times they aren't going to go fewer than 3, but even 3 cards in hand isn't great. Sometimes they're going to be getting your Bouffalants up and KOing them, so, you know, they might get down to 2 at that point. So Iono, just a solid card to hand reset. Lillie's Determination, also a great one. Obviously, we know why. This is seeing so much play now, but also think about this. Something I'll use Lillie's Determination on is sometimes you get too many energies in hand, right? Because we only have 4 and 4, I have had times where I have 3 of these in hand and I've already attached 1, so I can use Lillie's Determination on a turn, and I'm going to be able to reset that, throw those energies back into my deck so that I can use Crispin to load up those energies faster. Now, Penny is a late add. I thought about this, and I only have 1 of. It's one I'd consider upping to 2. But I mean, thinking about this, put one of your basic Pokemon and all attached cards to your hand. Obviously, our Kangaskhan is a basic Pokemon. We can put all attached cards and not lose anything, like the Turos, including the tools. So if our Kangaskhan is getting down to it, we can save ourselves 3 prize cards by using a penny. Hopefully, by the time he gets there, we have our next Kangaskhan just ready to go. Now, Air Balloon is one that I also like not to put on my Kangaskhan's, obviously, because the Kangaskhan's are, you know, we want to put the Bravery Charms or Hero's Cape. We want to throw these bad boys onto our Bouffalants. They have 2 retreat costs. Opponents love to try to trap those Bouffalants up there and load themselves up, give themselves some time. So you throw a Air Balloon on him. I put it as a 3 of just to give me some leeway. You may be able to decrease it to a 2 because you only have 2 Bouffalants. You don't need to obviously ever put them on your Dudunsparce because they can retreat once you evolve. I like it at 3 just to make sure that I get both of those Bouffalants and Air Balloon on them so that I give them that free retreat cost. Now, the strategy, strengths, and weaknesses of the deck. Obviously, you want to load up your Kangaskhan, right? You want to get that guy in the active spot. Hopefully, he is the first card that you're drawing. If not, you know, we do obviously have easy ways without using energy to get him out of the active spot. Hopefully getting, if it's a Bouffalant, you're going to pull that Air Balloon, throw it on him. If it's a Dunsparce, you're going to just evolve it and move him out. So that really does help you out. From there, you want to be cycling the Dunsparce. And I'm putting this in order because you do, in my opinion, want to prioritize getting your first Dunsparce out over even the Bouffalant because, you know, you want to get that draw going. And then Crispin, really. Crispin is your kind of second priority, probably even before the Dunsparce, is getting Crispin, loading these guys up and starting to attack, because 200 damage each turn, even if you hit a Tails every single time, 200 damage is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's gonna not, even a Mega Pokemon is gonna get knocked out in 2 turns, right? Unless obviously they've got a Hero's Cape on their Venusaur or something like that. It might take you a little bit longer, but hey, let's say you hit heads once on both. You know, you got a good chance of doing that. 250 is going to knock out anything as well. Strengths is, for a basic Pokemon, it is very beefy. And the good thing about this is you don't have to worry about evolution. You know, that's why we have so much room for this good tech in this deck, because we don't have to worry about rare candies. We don't have to worry about evolving. I put 4 of these guys in there just to increase my chances that he is my first Pokemon, even though you're really not going to be playing more than 2. And then after that, you can just Ultra Ball them away once you've got 2 on your bench. If you really want to, you know, give yourself a chance to retreat and stuff, you know, go ahead and throw a 3rd one on your bench, but really it's not necessary, right? It also just has great draw power. Run Errand, this guy's always going to be in your basic spot. It's going to really help you shuffle through your the Dunsparce, and we've got plenty of hand shifters too in our Iono and our Lillie's Determination, so that we're able to really cycle through here. And then really just great power. Like I said, 200 damage is great, and beefiness, our Bouffalant is reducing damage, our Bravery Charm and Hero's Cape are giving us more HP. This deck is a little bit harder to deal with than even I thought, right? Weaknesses though, 2 KOs and we're done. Our real weakness is obviously against ground, and we've got Mega Lucario to deal with, so that's, I don't want to call it an auto loss because it's not, but it's very hard to win against that deck. So that's our really big weakness that I probably should even just put as a weakness, because Lucario right now is seeing a lot of play, is one of the, you know, kind of highlighted Pokemon out there. But, you know, at the same time too, the way that the Lucario deck works, it's one-shotting a lot of Pokemon anyway. But, I mean, you're rarely going to be one-shotting that Lucario unless you just really high roll on this too. If you don't see your Crispin, then this deck's going to be slow. It's going to take you 3 turns to load up on a 200 damage attack. You know, if you get Tails, so that's a little bit tough. So you really need to see your Crispin, and it's also just not adaptable, right? I mean, in weakness, you're done for. If they figure out how to kind of just go all in on your Kangaskhan's, it's only going to take them 2 KOs to get that. So it's not an adaptable deck either, but you know what? It's a fun deck. Some other cards to consider in this deck, there's not a lot, and you know, I really went through a few times just thinking like, is there something I'm missing? I mean, I thought maybe a Pheasantipity, but we've got plenty of draw power, no reason to get a 2-prizer out there for fodder for our opponents. I even had like a Blood Moon Ursaluna in there in my initial list. Wasn't really using it at all. I mean, there's no real point to, so there's not a lot, okay? Gravity Mountain is obviously one to think about. Reducing our stage 2 Pokemon by 30 HP. It doesn't affect us is always a nice thing. And sometimes you want to think about having stadiums just to get rid of your opponent's stadium. So sometimes I try to put one in, but just not really liking it in this list yet. Like maybe you can take out some Ionos or something and throw it in. It could maybe help you get that one shot in there of those top dog Pokemon, but you know, I'm not doing it. Pokegear 3.0 I think is also one to consider. You know, we've got trainers and we need specific ones, so the Pokegear giving us the ability to search for them is nice. And this one's probably the biggest one I would kind of consider swapping in. You know, maybe reducing again those Ionos, maybe taking out a Penny so that I can really just give myself the best chance of pulling my Crispin or even other cards like Arven and things like that, right? The last one would be the Precious Trolley. When we've got a bunch of basic Pokemon we need and we draw that Precious Trolley early and we just load up on Kangaskhan, on our 2 Bouffalant, a couple Dunsparce on our bench, it seems good, but I just can't see myself getting rid of the Hero's Cape. You know, a 400 HP basic Pokemon is just ridiculous, despite it being a 3-prizer or not. In fact, especially being a 3-prizer, we want to get that basic up to 400 HP. Alright, well that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Pokemon Nest. Hope you enjoyed this overview of the Mega Kangaskhan. What do you think? Is it a viable deck? Are you excited to see the demo video that'll come out later this week on Friday? Make sure you check that out. And if you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Hawks Nest. All right, we're a fearless flock of fabulous folks who love to do what we love out here. I'm excited about making these decks. I really like this deck. It actually is even cooler than I thought, which I've said a few times, I'm sure, throughout this video. But, you know, make sure you stay tuned for the next video. We've got our unboxing, of course, as usual on Wednesday. But until then, see you next time.